This is More Than Work, the podcast reminding you that your self-worth is made up of more than your job title. Each week, I'll talk to a guest about how they discovered that for themselves. You'll hear about what they did, what they're doing, and who they are. I'm your host, Rabiah. I work in IT, perform stand-up comedy, write, volunteer, and, of course, podcast. Thank you for listening. Here we go. Hey there, everyone. Welcome back this week. I skipped a week last week and didn't say anything. I just kind of needed a break, and so I took it. I think in the spirit of More Than Work, that's perfectly okay. I have heard from a lot of people that not just me, but others are really kind of overwhelmed lately and busy. And I think a lot of kids are out of school now, so parents are doing other things. And for me, it's just kind of comedy's busier and work's busier and personal life's busier. And all good things, but sometimes you don't have time to do those things like edit a podcast, for example. I am glad I did this week though, because my guest Joey Held, he's a fellow squadcaster. That's where I record my podcast. I've said that before, and you're gonna like it because the guy is just so chill and so positive, but also realistic, and those are kind of qualities that I really like and aspire to as well. So he does marketing, he's written a book, and we're just going to get into all that. And I'm going to leave it short because I just think at this point, I'd rather you hear the interview than hear me prattle on about how busy I am, which isn't that fun to listen to, I'm sure. So I look forward to the next few interviews I'm going to be sharing with you as well. I've gotten a few more in the can, so to speak, and a lot of editing to do, and I'm excited to share with you. Also, if you are in London, I am doing my Camden Fringe show from on the 7th, 9th, and 17th of August. And I'll be up in Edinburgh for Fringe doing some open spots and seeing friends from the 11th through 16th of August. So if you happen to be in London and listening to this, or up in Edinburgh, I don't know how many listeners I have there, it'd be great to see you. Enjoy the show. Hey everyone, the guest today is Joey Held. He is a writer and podcaster, and actually squadcaster. That's how I met him, is via Squadcast. So thanks for being on, Joey.
Absolutely, Rabiah. Thanks for having me. And yeah, shout out to Squadcast. Yeah,
exactly. That's how we met and got introduced to each other's shows and each other. So where am I talking to you from today?
I am in Austin, Texas. Very exciting. It was pouring rain earlier in the week to the point of many flights were getting delayed. And now it's nice and sunny outside. Austin
tends to have very interesting weather. I lived in Dallas for a couple years, and I got to Austin kind of frequently because I think the place that was most closely aligned with me in Texas was Austin. So I kind of got out of Dallas whenever I could.
Probably a good move.
Yeah, but the weather is something. I was there in November last year, and it was still warm. I mean, it was kind of unbearable in a way because I was coming from London where it never got that warm for 2 years.
It's pretty wild. I always like the people who come. I actually just saw an Instagram reel about this, of the people who come to Austin and decide to move here for the vibes, and then they haven't experienced a summer yet, because an Austin summer is just I've lived in some places with hot weather. I went to school at Miami, so I'm used to some hot and humid weather, but it's something else here. It's a very dry, just in your face heat.
Yeah, I don't think vibes even know what to do in that heat, right?
No, they just melt.
Yeah, they're like, nope, our vibe is puddle. Yeah, so first of all, you're a writer, and I'll just jump into talking about your book, because you said before we were chatting that you were just at the LA Times Book Festival, right? So
yes. Can
you talk a little bit about that experience and then also your book?
Yeah, the LA Times Festival of Books, first time they had it in 3 years since, a little COVID came through and ruined lots of in-person events. And I was honestly surprised at how packed it was. I think they had estimated in 2019 that they had about 150,000 people. And I would guess it was probably around the same over the weekends. So it was a Saturday and Sunday event. And I was there with a couple other fellow writers. We were peddling our wares. My book is called Kind But Kind of Weird, Short Stories on Life's Relationships. I like to equate it to, and I've had a couple people tell me this, so I guess I could say people say, even though it's probably like 2 to 3 people, that it's as if the characters of the show New Girl wrote a collection of short stories. And wouldn't you know it, at the LA Times Festival of Books, right on the main stage, which was within eyeshot of our booth, Max Greenfield, who played Schmidt on New Girl, was giving a presentation. So I was like, okay, I probably should go say hello. And I had a copy of my book with me, and I bought a copy of his book, which was it's a kid's book that's called I Don't Want to Read This Book. He did the whole reading of it presentation. It was very entertaining. And then I was in the signing line and just kind of said, like, hey, this book, people have told me it's like if New Girl characters wrote a book. He congratulated me. He was very nice. And then I was just like, do you want a copy? And he was like, sure, I'll take one. So it could have ended up in a trash can immediately afterwards. But at least while I was there, he was very nice about it.
Yeah, he took the book.
I had never really been at like an exhibit sort of booth like that. Like I did a launch event for my book, but that was like people were there to support me. Like it wasn't, I don't know what the total amount was, but our booth number was 964. So, and math logic, that makes it seem like there's at least 965 booths because our neighbor was 965. So just to see like, people are walking by and some people will walk up, but sometimes you got to kind of like yell at them. And I felt sort of car salesman-y sometimes, but I found an effective tactic just yelling out what's on people's shirts, or if they're carrying a bag or hat or something, just like commenting on that. And then they'd at least kind of come over and, it didn't always result in a sale or them even like picking up a book, but you'd have a fun little conversation for a couple minutes. And in 8-hour days, it's very nice to have that to break up some of the chaos.
Just have some micro interactions that can kind of, add up to a full day. So with your book, it's a collection of short stories, correct?
Yeah.
Are they all fiction, all nonfiction, a mix?
It's a mix. They're largely fiction, but with elements of nonfiction in them. So a lot of times people will ask, what, or people I know, I should say, are like, oh, are any of the characters based off of me? And I like to tell them whoever your least favorite character is. I had you in mind for that, just to keep their ego in check a little bit. But I would say for the most part, they're like none of the characters are 100% based off someone I know. Like it's taking bits and pieces of either people I've come across or people that I like have created in my head. There's one story in there in particular where a character gets a detention for asking for a pizza party in his Spanish class, and that really happened to me. It's the only detention I ever got in high school was for asking for a pizza party, and the teacher, I guess, had enough. Although she did promise one. I'm not bitter. It's more than a decade later. It was 2 decades later, goodness. But
did you ask in Spanish or did you?
Yes. So this will be the too long didn't read version. Basically, she promised us a pizza party if the class collectively got a 90 on a test, and we got a 91. So all of us were like, let's get a pizza party. But apparently myself and 2 other people were like the ringleaders. So we got detentions. Everyone else got off scot-free. And I swear she said, and again, this is in Spanish, so I maybe misunderstood something, but I am like 99% certain she said, if you ask again, I will give you a detention. So I just didn't talk the rest of the class because I didn't want it to be misconstrued. And then she just still came up and was like, detenzione. I was like, great.
That's funny. Spanish class is the class I got in trouble too.
What did you do?
Well, I'll tell you. I mean, I got in trouble for talking during one of them, but I wasn't the one talking. That was the weird thing. It was the person in front of me, and she kept mocking everybody during their dialogue. Like, we'd have to do the dialogue. So you have to do that where you had to have a script but say it in Spanish and conjugate a verb or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they made us do that, right? And so she kept mocking everyone, and he kept thinking it was me, which even at that age, my voice was deeper than the other girls' voices, for sure, and it was not me. And she ended up being drunk, basically. Oh. And so, but he kicked me out because he called me a revolutionary leader. Ooh. And he kicked me out. And then the people in the office thought it was so funny that they did make me do detention. And I was like, I didn't do anything, and they didn't care. And so, yeah, it was, I mean, I was a smartass for sure, 100%. Like we would just use the same script in a different verb until one day it didn't make sense and the teacher caught us, like after 4 weeks. But, so Spanish class is a tough one. I mean, you can really get in trouble in that one, I guess, if you're otherwise a good kid, right? So
yeah, it's wild. It's wild what you can't get away with in Spanish.
Exactly. So with your book, how did you decide that you were going to take it and just put a collection together versus have your individual stories stand on their own, or even write like a longer form novel? What was the idea or what gave you the idea to write the book the way you did?
Well, I've always enjoyed writing and had just kind of had a collection of short stories. And I actually released a few of them pre giving it the final edit that they got on Wattpad, which is I haven't poked around too much lately, but it was a really fun little platform where you could share stories, and a lot of people do kind of like serialized test runs on there of stories they're maybe thinking about doing, or they're just like, hey, I have like a 3-part, 10-page each story, and you can release them in chapters like that. So that was a nice way to just kind of get some initial feedback on things like that. And there's probably about 4 or 5 of those stories that the core of those stories ended up in this collection as well. Just based off of like, hey, people seem to enjoy reading them. And they still kind of fit the overall theme of relationships, which does not mean romantic. It can be, a father and son, or like within, a class of high school students or things like that. I think it just got to a point where I had enough of them where I was like, I should do something with these. Like I had only released maybe like 4 or 5 of them, but I had written, I think it was 42 was the final number I had. And I parsed that down a little bit because a few I was like, this is either too dark for the rest of the book. And there's like a couple stories that people have been like, oh, that was like a little creepy. But I think they still fit the overall sort of like quirkiness element that I'm going for. And it kind of was just at a point where I was like, hey, I should do something with these because I've written a lot of them and I think people might enjoy reading them. And so I reached out to some agents and publishers, but if anyone listening out there has ever done that with a collection of short stories, you're basically told like, no, these don't sell. I don't want this. If you have another novel that you can attach it onto. And I was like, well, writing this one was time consuming enough. So let's focus on that one first, and then we'll come back with a longer form novel. And then so just went into the process of getting it out into the world myself. And there's a lot that goes into putting a book together. So I am glad I had some helpful people along the way.
Yeah. So self-publishing. There was a recent episode I had with Kevin G. Chapman. He's an author. He's a lawyer, and he also writes crime fiction. But he was saying that when he wrote his first book, it was probably 20 years ago, I guess, if I am doing any kind of math right now. But there was no idea of doing this kind of publishing, right? And there was no Amazon, there was no Kindle, there's none of that, certainly. But then also the self-publishing kind of that we have now wasn't occurring. So he took a long time to get this first one published. But then he mentioned a similar thing about how, like, in his case, he said if there's a series, they don't want that. They want something new. And it sounds like for you, too, it's like, okay, you have these short stories, but we want something else. And so just... did you have any doubt at any point, or did you just say, this is what I want to do, so I hear what you're saying, but I'm still going to do it? Like, how did that work for you? Because I think that has to be hard just to kind of hear rejection a certain number of times.
Yeah, I think, well, in some cases you don't hear anything. So it's just, you just submit it and you get nothing back, which might even be worse. I think it was nicer to hear that it's like, oh, okay, you actually took the time to read this. I mean, I think there's always doubt whenever you're releasing something into the world or considering it. But I think, I had shared with other people, and in some cases it wasn't like friends or family. It was, like strangers in a writing group or something. And I think there was enough enjoyment on it. But also part of it was just like, I would like to share these. And I know, there's nothing that 100% of people like. Maybe the show Dairy Girls, for everyone, like everyone I've mentioned to who's seen it says I love that show. So maybe that's the one exception. But outside of that, like not everyone's going to enjoy these books. And even just finding people that like would even consider short story collections, I feel like was more of a hunt than I think it had it been like a sci-fi or a mystery or thriller or something like that. And so I don't think there was any sort of hesitation or nerves, I guess, but it was more just like, okay, how can I pivot this to keep it going? And I think, self-publishing, I think, has a bit of a bad rap because of how many bad self-published books there are out there. It's people who don't even proofread at all. I had multiple editors for this. I had an actual design team that was helping with both the formatting of the book and the cover and all kinds of like other, sort of creative and marketing elements for it. And I think, I think more people are doing that now that it's, getting rid of that stigma a little bit, but there's definitely still books. And I even saw at the LA Festival or LA Times Festival of Books. So a world-renowned, country-renowned at least, festival where it's a lot of people. And there were definitely a few books that were clearly not very well edited that I would just page through at a booth or something. And I was just like, oh, this is, an 800-page book about guitar strings, and that probably could have been parsed down a little bit. So it's just a reminder in general to edit your work.
Yeah, well, and I'm one of those people who has been called various names just regarding grammar or punctuation or whatever, and I don't really mind, because it's like, well, so I care about the quality of writing, and you don't. That's what you're saying, and you're criticizing me for it, right? But it is important, because someone's going to be reading that, and I feel like it's the same with like podcasting, and we'll talk about your podcast in a bit, but it's our responsibility to put something out that's pleasant to listen to, rather than say, oh, I'm standing on the side of the road creating a podcast. Right, oh my goodness.
So I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but I had a guest one time who her Wi-Fi was spotty at her house. So she's like, oh, I'm taking this call from a restaurant. And there was like a server taking her order while we were recording. I was like, this doesn't work. I'm like, I thought you had like a quiet room within the restaurant, but you're literally out. So then we got her to move to her car, and it came out fine. But don't, if you're doing a recording, please try to avoid like subways or restaurants or things like that.
Exactly. Yeah, it's hard to, it seems fine to you. It's very hard to listen to. So as far as the writing too, you have a newsletter as well called Chris Bounce Pass that you write, and that's a different style of writing, I guess. So what brought about you creating the newsletter?
Well, I know a lot of people have pandemic hobbies that they started. Bread making was a big one right when we all first started. My two hobbies were I bought a putting green and I started a newsletter. When the pandemic started, sports all disappeared. So Chris Bounce Pass is, I like to say, it's a look at the lighter side of basketball and pop culture and kind of the intersection between them. Because I think more than any other sport, basketball just has so many different pop culture elements to it. Players are wearing their fashion. There's so much hip hop and rap crossover. A lot of players even are rappers and have their own albums, even good ones, not just like Shaq's rap album, which is is fine. It's fine. And I think there's just so many interesting elements to it. But there's a lot of like sports talk shows. It's just people like rattling off stats or like the NFL draft happened last night as we're recording this, and it's like immediately players are being graded. I'm like, these people are 21 years old, and you're like, nope, that was a terrible pick. He hasn't played a single down of football, but terrible pick, and here's why. And it's just like, I think there's more fun parts of sports to talk about. So it's a nice. I started it, I think, just because I was kind of missing sports, but I also just wanted another sort of creative outlet for writing. And I mentioned the putting green. That I don't know where that is. That's gotten lost somewhere in my house. So I've not kept up with that as well. But the newsletter's still going strong. Had issue 178 go out today. And I kind of was like, dang, that's a lot. That's a lot of writing.
That is a lot.
And it's been a blast. And I'll get emails from people who, some of them I know, some of them are strangers outside of the newsletter, but I'm just like, it's so cool to get that feedback of like, people are reading this. Sometimes they'll even add to the story. They're like, oh, hey, here's this other cool thing that I thought was fun. And I have included one of those in a future issue, one of those extra stories. And I gave the shout out, and I was like, thank you for making me do less work, because you just wrote all of this.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, and I did see, I was scrolling through and checking out some old, so just so people know, they can find the archives there. Anyone who's into basketball or even just wants to read something entertaining and learn about basketball. But I was looking through some of the archive, and I also saw how many you had, and it was really impressive. So as far as writing, did you major in that in school, or how did you get into being a writer?
I majored in broadcast journalism, so there's definitely writing elements to it. You're writing voiceover or just kind of the basis for your stories, and there's certainly, especially nowadays, there's like so much crossover between, you'll have a video and then you'll also have like a written article that goes along with it. But writing has just been something I've always enjoyed. It was just like a fun hobby I picked up as a kid. The first book I ever wrote was a writing assignment in second grade. I want to say this is what I consider my first published work. It was basically the plot of Space Jam, but it was my childhood friends and I had to take on some, I think they were sewer monsters, and we had to beat them in a basketball game just to rescue the Chicago Bulls. It wasn't even like, I think in Space Jam there's a little bit more at stake, like the enslavement of humankind, or at least Michael Jordan. But for us, it was just the Bulls were, locked in a room somewhere, and then we beat them at basketball. We were able to get them out because I grew up in Chicago, so a big Bulls fan. So vital part of the plot there. And it was a picture book, so my crude drawings go along with it, but we did the whole like kind of laminated and put it in that, the little like binding that you'd use to make any sort of presentation look way fancier than it was. That was a key component to that. And I got an A on it. So I was like, hey, maybe this writing thing could pay off.
That's super. But now you're in marketing also, right, as your career. And so I just switched to marketing about 6 months ago, which has been quite a learning experience, I'll tell you, coming from project management. But part of the reason was because I can write and they wanted that. But how does the writing play into your role in marketing, and then how does it contribute to what you're doing? I mean, it sounds like even your knowledge of in that space generally helped you put out a better quality book than you might have if you didn't have that knowledge.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the company I'm at is a communications agency, so it's a full scope type of thing. It's not just PR. It's not just digital or content. It's the whole shebang. And I think for the book, that definitely helped in that it was more of a holistic process of like, hey, I hate saying holistic, but that just came out. But it was more like, it's okay. An overview. It wasn't just like, hey, I'm just going to pitch my book to like 3 people and that's it. It was going on to podcasts. It was creating kind of articles, and like in the newsletter, there's throwing in a story about basketball, which is in the book, and having that sort of like cross promotional side of things. So yes, it definitely helps having a background in marketing and PR, but you also, like with the book, it was also kind of a fun little playground for things, because as much as I'd like to think I'm an expert at stuff, the way, especially on social media, like the way these platforms just change so rapidly, and something that worked yesterday suddenly doesn't work because it's trying to be more like TikTok or whatever, whatever the case is. And you just have to be able to adapt to it. And I think a lot of it is kind of experimenting and being like, hey, I think this will work, but then keeping an eye on it. And if it's not working, then to change it to something that hopefully is doing better. But I think writing in general is just so important for any profession, really. Like to be able to write, even if you're just emailing between people, like even if it's never going outside of company walls, like to be able to succinctly communicate what you need and what needs to happen to get your job done, I think is so important. And not everyone has that skill. So it's a good thing to practice.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And to that point, I think just there's a couple things that I've noticed and that I've been better at. One thing is just paring things down to like, really, what do I need to say? And also being direct, because I think what I see a lot of people do is, and it's funny because I'm working in England, and I work with the people internationally, but they communicate very differently here than they do in the States. And they're much more passive. But to me, I'm not even ever clear on what people are asking for sometimes. I'm like, well, are you asking a question? Or are you just making a statement? I'm not sure. And I just find like knowing how to clearly communicate in a very succinct way, not how I talk, but how I write, because I don't talk very succinctly, is super important, because you can save a lot of hassle. You can save a lot of back and forth. You can avoid arguments. I think one thing that happens, especially in the corporate space, is people don't read things as they were intended to be consumed, and so you have to be very careful to write things so that they will be read that way. And it's tough. I don't know. I find it difficult.
Oh, absolutely. And I always enjoy is probably the wrong word, but I always find it interesting when like I'll read something one way and then someone else will read it a completely different way, and they'll be like, are they mad at us? And I was like, oh, I don't get that. But then I'm like, well, are they? I'm like, but
Yeah.
I have the whole revision in my head where I was like, oh, maybe I just overthought that whole thing. But do you have a favorite email ism that you use, like a term like you only really use in emails, but you use it pretty regularly?
Oh, yeah. And it's one I'm trying to stop because I don't want to always do that. I'll say, I am just writing to follow up on. Because I feel like I have to seed it some way, like, oh, I'm just asking this, and I'm trying to be very bashful about it, rather than just say, hey, do you have a response on this or something? You know, and just like the I hope you're well also at the start. I mean, I hope they are, but it's also, I'm not asking how they are. I'm not going to ever do that. Yeah. They're not going to ask me how I am. And so, but those two are the ones where I'm like, I want to fix them so I can just be more direct. And then it seems less passive. It sounds passive aggressive at some point, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah. What about you?
I think I'm along the same line of like, oh, just wanted to blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I'm just asking this question. I didn't want to do this. If if you had answered, that I wouldn't have had to do this. So I don't enjoy that I'm doing it, but I still write it like that. And I always say I want to sign off. People will do like sincerely best, cheers, whatever. I always want to sign off tepid regards if I'm like kind of irritated at the person, but I've never pulled the trigger on that.
No, I mean, sometimes you just do like the dash and your name. No,
that's when you know you're a little irritated.
Yeah, I think the use of an exclamation mark after hello kind of starts it off like, hello, like I'm not mad at you, but boom, thanks.
But I could be.
Yeah. So I think thanks with an exclamation mark too. I always read that as, they're not happy, but they're trying to make sure they end on a high note, you know?
I like that.
But, it is it is tough. So you do enjoy your work though, that you do.
I do.
Marketing.
I do, yeah.
And how do you balance kind of, I guess, doing that job? Because it depends on what you're doing at the time, but it can be really busy especially when you're working with clients. How do you balance that with then kind of your own writing? And do you ever get fatigued at one and find one brings you energy, or do you just have to stop on all sides, like your personal and your professional is hard to stop because you can't get...
Because there are consequences.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you ever just stop doing your job? No, I'm just kidding. But
just for hours at a time. Yes.
Exactly. How does it impact each other though? Do you find there's any relation between them? Or are you able to separate things?
I think there is relation sometimes. And I've actually had a couple of occasions where someone that I have met through my job ends up, going to a different company in like a completely different field and reaches out and is like, hey, like I liked interacting with you and I have some writing work, would you want to work together? And I think that's always, again, just like speaks to the power of really just being nice to people.
Yes.
Like our company motto is good work with good people makes for a good life. And it's super simple, but it's so impactful. Like if you're working with someone that you don't enjoy, or even I would say just hanging out with someone that you don't like being around, like it does bring your whole energy and your whole vibe down. And I think that is something that you never want to have happen, but it probably is going to happen at some point. So
yeah,
certainly in both cases, I would say I've gotten, I've hit a wall, or I'm like, I just don't know how to, like I've started writing something and I just don't know how to bring it home. So usually I like to just, get up and walk away and just kind of go for a walk. I've got 2 dogs, just scratching a puppy's belly for like 5 minutes makes all problems melt away. And it really does kind of like re-energize me. And so sometimes I can go right back to whatever I was working on, but sometimes it's just like, hey, I'm not feeling it right now, but there's enough to work on. And with my day job of working at an agency, there's enough clients that it's not just like, oh, this one client is, I like all the clients I work with, but hypothetically, like this client's being the worst client I've ever seen before. If that was the only client I worked with, then it would be like, I might, it might take a little longer to kind of get back in the swing of things, but there's enough to shift focus to that. Even if I am feeling, kind of struggling or burnt out on one thing, that there's something else I can turn to.
Yeah. That's great. I know what you mean. It's good, I think, just getting up and giving yourself space for a minute, because everyone runs into that where they just need a moment, right? A break. So, and then you come back and do work or just do something else. So I was looking at time management stuff and just how like you should knock out the most difficult task first, because a lot of people will try to do all the small tasks first and just have wins. They can cross stuff off, but then they're usually doing a bunch of unimportant things and not doing the one that's really important and going to be a burden. And so I've been trying that strategy, not very successfully. But I also think there's something to be said to maybe doing that, but then doing the small things in between to, get through blocks. But it's funny when you look up time management, because some people just say these obvious things, and you're like, yeah, I've done that. It's almost like I get mad at Google. Like, yeah, Google, I know, I've done that. I'm looking for something real,
Yeah, I always I've never been a big, like a lot of people have like their morning routines. And I would say, I guess I mostly make coffee, and that's like the biggest part of the routine. But sometimes I'll have like a crazy long list of stuff. And it's like, it is nice to cross something off, but then I'll think of something else. I'm like, okay, I got to add that on. So the list is never fully done. No. Even if it's just like, hey, do laundry, like look at the hamper, just look at it, look at how tall it's stacked. And I was like, oh, that should be something I could like easily solve. And sometimes I'll still be like, nah, I'll do this other thing instead. So I applaud people that can have a routine, but it's just not for me.
Yeah. I'm not one of those either. And with laundry, I get annoyed because I'm always wearing something. So it's never done, It's just never complete. And I've tried the whole thing where, maybe I'll get everything done, but it's like I always have to put something on. So it ruins the whole thing. Laundry is just, it's defeatist, So you also have a podcast, Good People, Cool Things. I get what that is, but tell the listeners, what is your podcast?
Yeah, it's an interview-style podcast where I speak to good people doing cool things. No, I'll give more than that. So it's conversations with people who have either started their own business or are musicians or authors. And the overall goal of it is that they will inspire you, whoever is listening, to do your own cool thing, your own creative project. Not necessarily start a business, but you certainly can. I'm not going to stop you. I think that's awesome. And it's just, honestly, it's been just like a fantastic way to meet new people from all over the world and just see what they are doing. And like, there's things I've learned about that I would have never thought was a profession. There's a fire-breathing sushi chef. I got to interview the creator of Taboo and Outburst and a whole host of other board games like that. And I always ask musicians, this is probably my favorite question, is just to tell me about their worst gig that they've ever played. I'll give one quick shout out to David Chobani, who's an Austin-based rapper. His worst gig, he was at a bar where it was one other person and the bartender, maybe one friend there, but they were playing Fast and Furious 2, Too Fast, Too Furious, on a TV on the stage, like while he was singing. So he was like, even sometimes I was like taking a break to like look and be like, oh, that's a good scene. So, but even out of that, the one person who was there who he didn't know came up to him afterwards and he was like, hey, can I buy a CD? Like, I really enjoyed that. And so it's always got kind of like an inspirational slant to it. Cause usually in the moment, whatever your worst gig or your worst project, whatever it is usually terrible. But then afterwards makes for a great story. You can go back and laugh at it or just be sad about it for all time. But usually most people look back with fondness on it.
Yeah, you move on. I mean, I do stand-up comedy. And so that gig you're describing, I've definitely been to those kind, because sometimes these promoters will have most of the gigs that I do are in a pub because I'm open mic level, but they'll have it in the room, like in the pub. They're not going to have it in some room on the side or upstairs or something, or in a basement, which is always a little creepy to go into. But they just have it in the pub, and the people there don't want it. They do not want to hear your jokes at all. They just want to be in the pub. And so that's like always the most difficult gig, because like one I did where the people were just talking right in front of me, and I couldn't... And there was no way, and they weren't going to listen to me, but I couldn't get them out of my eyesight. So I totally understand, like, having a film playing or whatever. It's just like, oh, but you just kind of, you do move on. I mean, there's nothing you can do. But I don't know, performing music, I find that terrifying. Just, I can't sing anyway or rap, but I guess you just would kind of like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You guys are talking. That's funny though, to have a film playing in the background.
Oh yeah.
Like, hey.
It's out of control. And I would think like at least because that wasn't even just like, hey, we're just throwing you in the middle of things. Like that was like a set show that people presumably paid money to go see. And they're just like, nah, let's give, I was going to say, let's give Vin Diesel, but I don't think he's in that one. So we'll give The Rock and Tyrese some screen time. I might be mixing up my Fast and Furious movies. My apologies.
I have no idea. I mean, well, there are 8 of them. So if you name a certain like type of actor, they're probably going to have been in one of them.
That's
so
true.
You're pretty safe.
Yeah, you don't remember George Clooney's brief appearance in Fast 4?
That I didn't know. So actually, that would be reason to watch. What has been, I guess, the most surprising thing to you about having the podcast, though? I mean, because I think they're similar, but in a way, like just a bit different subject, but similar idea to inspire people to do things with other than just what, maybe what they're doing at the time. But what's been the biggest, like, most surprising thing to you that you've learned either about yourself or just about someone else?
Well, if this were the first ever podcast I were doing, I'd say the amount of time it takes, because I think that does surprise a lot of people. Or I should say the amount of time it takes to make a good podcast. And one, again, we go back to editing. If it's just like a 4-hour riff of you and your bros talking about the latest Joe Rogan podcast, maybe there's an audience for that, but it's certainly not my eyes would not be on that. My eyes or ears. I think for this one, though, it's just like how invigorating it is to do. Like there's definitely been times where I have a recording set up and it's, maybe been a long day, or I have something else that I would like to be doing or have to do. And I'll go into the recording and it's just always, I come out of it feeling in a better mood than when I started. And I'm sure at some point I'll have, even the guest that was recording from the restaurant initially.
Yeah.
We, got her in the car and it turned into a great conversation. So sometimes it's just, it is people's first appearance on a podcast where they haven't done it a lot and they don't necessarily understand the audio engineering because their exposure to podcasts, if any, is, like a Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, where listen to those credits. There's like 14 people that work on the show. Like there's a lot that goes into it. And I think for most podcasters, it's just us, it's just us doing all of these things. Yeah. And I'd like to think my broadcast journalism career and working in radio while at college was, led me up to at least be competent of what audio should sound like. But there's definitely things where I'm like, I can't remove this, the screeching tires because you're recording from the set of Fast and the Furious 15. I don't know what the pun would be for 15. But just like
quinceanera.
Yeah. Oh, now I want that to happen. It's Vin Diesel's daughter has the quinceanera, but a car drives the. We gotta write a Fast and Furious. Make a cool $250 million of dollars.
Exactly.
Then we can hire people to help with our podcast.
Yeah, we can get editors.
It's the dream.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the time it takes, and especially just with, editing. Editing takes a while. So we've talked about a couple things that could be construed as advice, but do you have any advice or mantra that you want to share with listeners, just that you kind of follow or that you like to impart for this kind of podcast?
Yeah, when you are talking with people, listen to what they're saying. I feel like I see so many conversations and have participated in some where someone asks me a question and then I start answering and I can see like their eyes wandering, or maybe they like pull out their phone and they're kind of glancing through and like passively listening. And I mean, maybe they're great at that, but to me that just shows like a complete lack of interest. And it's like you're only just kind of going through the motions here. Or when I lived in LA, I'd get this a lot of like people would initially learn that I did not have any kind of connections in the movie industry for them, and they were aspiring actors. So they were like, all right, well, I'm going to stop talking with you then. But I think like everyone has interesting things going on with them. And I think if you are genuinely curious and ask about it, like it can lead to some good things for you down the road. And if not, then you had an entertaining conversation. That's pretty good.
Yeah. And one thing along those lines that I've just started to do at work is if I have a call with someone and I don't need to be at my computer, like it's not a video call or it's not a call where I'm, sharing something or whatever, I'll just take the call on my phone and get up from my desk, because otherwise I'm definitely one of the people who will be, I mean, right now when I'm talking to you, I have my other monitor because I can look at my notes, which I assume you know. But like, because
no, I've been offended this entire discussion. I'm sorry.
Oh, great. But yeah, is this am I this character? But I'm just kidding. But
this is just a subtle dig at you.
I hope you're well. But the thing is, like, so I will do that. I mean, that's just, I guess I'll just tagging onto your advice. Like, I'll just kind of get up and have Teams on my phone just so I'm not looking at the computer, because you can tell too when someone is talking to you, even if it's just on the phone, that they're just not with you anymore, and it's really a bad feeling for you as the person talking, but also the person listening. I mean, hopefully they feel some remorse too when they get caught. I don't know.
They probably don't even realize that.
They don't.
They're still so distracted. Yeah.
They don't even know they're on the phone anymore. That's really good advice, and I think it kind of just tracks with what I've experienced talking to you and listening to your podcast, but in talking to you and interacting with you and stuff, is that you are just really kind. I mean, that's just unsolicited feedback, I guess, that I can tell you just live genuinely in a kind way. And so one of those things would be listening, which is nice. So
thank you. That's very nice.
Yeah. So as far as the last questions, they're called the Fun Five, and it's just some questions that I like to ask every guest. So the first one is, what's the oldest t-shirt you have and still wear?
I was thinking about this because I think there's a couple, and I was trying to think which one was the oldest. So I'm going to go with when I was on campus at Miami. They had a Hug the Lake. So there's a lake on the campus of Miami. We did a Hug the Lake to help. I think it was just to be like, hey, we have a lake on our campus, and like stop doing things that might threaten its removal. And so it was just like all the students on campus. It wasn't every student, but a lot of students. We each just kind of, locked arms, held hands around this lake, and got T-shirts for it. So it's a big picture of a lake with its arms out like it's hugging you, and it's in Miami orange. The lake is blue, but like the shirt is like the bright Miami orange.
Yeah.
And it's, I guess it must have been, that was my freshman year, so it was 2006. So what is that, 16? So it's old enough to drive.
Yeah, nice. Well, that's cool you guys did that too. So one thing, I mean, now it's a bit different, but this question could still apply to some people. If every day was really Groundhog's Day, like the same, like the movie with Bill Murray, what song would you have your alarm clock play every morning?
This is I was wondering if I wanted to base this on reality, where I have, my current alarm is set to K-Love, which is a Christian Austin-based radio station, which I have not changed the radio station in like 20 years on my alarm. So when I lived in LA, I think I might have set it to K-Day, which is hip-hop, and I just never changes from them. But I actually really like waking up to K-Love, because it's either just very inspirational songs, or the hosts are talking about something and they're super generous and nice with each other. So it's just like a nice, pleasant little conversation to wake up. So maybe something like that, I could just keep my everyday life like I am living that. But in the spirit of the question, I'll go with perhaps one of my favorite karaoke songs, which is Roses by Outkast. Because I'm assuming we're getting different, and then this might be taking a leap, but the alarm would go off at different parts of the song. So it probably would be the same part every day, but still, there's lots of different parts of the song. You've got the little piano intro, which is very nice. You've got the Caroline parts with the call and repeat. The chorus is very catchy as well, and then you've got Big Boy's rap section in there. So there's lots of different parts of the song where I enjoy it, where I'm like, okay, I could wake up to that. You're kind of waking up and smelling the roses, even though they smell like boo, boo, boo. As the song says.
Yes. And that's a good karaoke song, actually, because there's a variety, and you could have someone who can't sing do part of it with you, and someone who can. Yeah.
You just need a little rhythm for the rap section, and otherwise half of it's just the audience repeating what you say, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's good. Cool. All right, coffee or tea or neither?
I think I might be both. I like to do coffee in the morning and then a caffeine-free tea in the afternoon with a little honey in there too.
Smart. Yeah, that's good. I know some of us haven't learned to not have coffee in the afternoon yet, but...
Oh, I'll still do it occasionally, and I regret it every time. Yeah. It's almost at after 11 a.m. sometimes now, where I'm just like, I'm going to be up all night. But I'm going to drink this anyway, because I feel like I need it now.
Cool. And then can you think of something that just cracks you up or makes you laugh so hard you cry when you think of it, or even a recent thing that just kind of had you doing that?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of things in life, but for something that people could also enjoy, perhaps. Nate Bargatze, the stand-up comedian, he has a bit where his friend, he played a prank on his friend where he took a bite of his McDonald's cheeseburger and then like wrapped it back up and gave it to him. And his storytelling of his friend's reaction is hilarious, and I'm like laughing just thinking about it now. But I don't want to spoil it because he tells it much better than I do. But if you Google Nate Bargatze McDonald's, you'll be able to see.
Awesome. All right, last one. Who inspires you right now?
Can I say my mom? Is that a cheat?
Yeah. No, that's great.
Yes, I was recently home for, I was telling you about my busy month of travel, but just the amount of work that's currently being done on the home of my childhood home, and just how she's like keeping everything together and still thriving and going through everything. It was very nice to see, and I was like, I'm glad you passed some of these genes along to me.
Nice. Oh, that's cool. No, and I think, I don't know, it's always nice I'm very close to my mom, and I think it's always nice to hear people say their mom.
Yeah, probably spend more time with us than anyone else, so yeah.
For sure, at least for quite a bit of our lives. So if people want to look you up or know more about you, where do you want them to go?
Yeah, joeyheld.com has most of my shenanigans going on. I try not to overwhelm people with links, but you can get to the podcast. You can get to Chris Bounce Pass from that. I'll also give a shout out. I am in a band too. We're called Burning Years. So available wherever you listen to music. And it is a great little, your favorite songs from high school, I like to say. Like a nice pop punk / rock. No. It's original songs, but it's in that spirit. So it'll take you back, I think. And then on Twitter, I'm at Joseph Currency. And I love meeting people on there. So come say hello, some of your favorite GIF. We'll have a blast.
Awesome. Well, it was great to have you on, Joey. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me, and good luck with the book, too. I'm looking forward to reading it.
Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun, and I wish you tepid regards now and in the future.
Thank you. Thanks for listening. You can learn more about the guest and what was talked about in the show notes. Joe Maffia created the music you're listening to. You can find him on Spotify at Joe, Maffia. Rob Metke does all the design, for which I am so grateful. You can find him online by searching Rob, Metke. Please leave a review if you like the show, and get in touch if you have feedback or guest ideas. The pod is on all the social channels at More Than Work Pod or at Rabiah Comedy on TikTok, and the website is morethanworkpod.com. While being kind to others, don't forget to be kind to yourself.